For more than 20 years, there was this band from Atlanta, Georgia, that didn't just write songs. No, they built entire worlds with sound. They basically crafted a story that was as epic and as complex as any ancient myth. This is the story of Mastodon.
Right from the get-go, the critics knew something was up. I mean, Rolling Stone wasn't just giving them a good review. They were practically crowning them. This wasn't just another heavy band. This was a force that was about to completely reshape what metal could even be in the 21st century.
And for 24 years, this was the crew. Troy Sanders, Brent Hinds, Bill Kelleher, and Brann Dailor. Their creative partnership seemed as solid as a mountain, a totally unbreakable unit that just kept cranking out one classic album after another. But as we know, even the strongest foundations can start to crack. And in 2025, the unthinkable happened. And their whole story took this really sharp, tragic turn. So how did it all fall apart? Well, to really understand the end, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning. All right, so our story kicks off at the turn of the millennium. The year is 2000. The place is Atlanta, Georgia. And the underground music scene there is about to give birth to an absolute behemoth. It's kind of a classic rock and roll story, really. You have two musicians, drummer Brann Dailor and guitarist Bill Kelleher, who move to a new city and, bam, they instantly connect with two local guys, bassist Troy Sanders and guitarist Brent Hinds. That bond was immediate, just forged over the shared love for super heavy experimental bands. After a really short time with another singer, they made a decision that would change everything. Hinds and Sanders would share the vocals. That one move would define their sound, and by 2001, a record label was already knocking. And man, their rise was just explosive. In just a few years, they went from grinding it out in these little sweaty clubs to commanding these massive festival stages. The ambition was there from day one, and the world was about to find out.
Okay, but this next phase, this is what took them from being a great band and turned them into a legendary one. See, they weren't just writing albums anymore. They were building sagas. This is where the myth-making really, truly begins.
Just stop and think about that level of creative ambition for a second. They decided their first 4 huge albums would each be based around one of the classical elements: fire, water, earth, and ether. At a time when so much of heavy music was just focused on pure aggression, Mastodon was weaving these intricate stories, blending these sludgy, heavy-as-hell riffs with super complex progressive song structures. They weren't just writing songs, they were literally building universes.
And the critics? They absolutely went wild, especially for their 2004 masterpiece inspired by Moby-Dick, Leviathan. It was showered with Album of the Year awards. I mean, even National Public Radio. NPR recognized how important it was. That was the moment Mastodon became the darlings of the entire rock press. And their live shows, they became this incredible reflection of that grand artistic vision. The artist Paul Romano's amazing album covers were blown up into these gigantic backdrops, literally pulling the audience right into the worlds they were creating on stage. It was just a total sensory assault. So, with their artistic credibility totally locked down, the next challenge was the mainstream. And Mastodon didn't just knock on the door, they pretty much kicked it right off its hinges. And the proof was right there in the numbers. Their 2014 album, Once More Around the Sun, hit number 6 on the Billboard 200 chart. This wasn't some niche metal band anymore. They were a legit commercial powerhouse. Getting that Grammy, though, that was a long haul. After 3 different nominations stretching over a decade, they finally took home the award for Best Metal Performance in 2018 for Sultan's Curse. It was just a testament to their persistence and, let's be honest, their undeniable quality.
And how do you really know you've made it in pop culture? You get to be killed on Game of Thrones. The band members were huge fans of the show, so they appeared first as wildlings and then later as undead wights. I mean, a perfect fit, right? But as they were reaching these incredible, incredible heights, what the public couldn't see were the cracks that were starting to form behind the scenes. That foundation that had seemed so solid for nearly a quarter century was beginning to fracture. And then, in March of 2025, the announcement dropped, and it just shocked the entire metal world. Brent Hinds, a founding member, one of the band's most unique voices and guitar players, was out. The lineup that seemed unbreakable was broken. The difference between the public statements was just stark. The band put out this very diplomatic, sad-sounding message. But Brent Hinds' comment? It was the exact opposite. It was raw, it was angry, and it made it brutally clear that this was not a friendly breakup. I mean, this guy was a creative force, a wild spirit, an absolutely essential part of the band's DNA for 25 years. The end of an era had officially arrived, leaving all the fans wondering what on earth could have gone so wrong. But the story was about to take an even more devastating turn. Just as the music world was trying to wrap its head around the split, the unimaginable happened. And it turned a story of conflict into one of just profound tragedy. 5 months, just 5 months after leaving the band that he helped create, Brent Hinds was killed in a motorcycle accident in his hometown of Atlanta. The news was just a gut punch, and it left this huge void, not just in the band's history, but really in the heart of modern metal. In the face of that kind of tragedy, all the bitterness of the split just seemed to melt away. Drummer Brand Daylor's words at their first show after Hinds' death, they reframed everything. He admitted they had their struggles, but he focused on what really mattered: the brotherhood and the incredible, beautiful music they made together. And despite all the heartbreak, the remaining members made it clear that Mastodon would continue. The legacy that all of them had built together was just too important to let go, and they vowed that they would carry it forward in honor of their fallen brother. And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Mastodon's story is going to continue, but it's entering this new, really uncertain chapter. How does a band carry on after losing such a vital piece of its soul? And can the myth that they all built together ever really be the same?